In today's world, information is everywhere. Anybody with internet access has the power to unlock thousands of years worth of knowledge with a few keystrokes and the click of a button. Our world is constantly changing, and with each passing minute, and with each new discovery, the rate at which it changes increases. So how can we create an education that is dynamic enough to keep up? To find an answer, we must analyze the status quo in our education today. The American high school. People come and go, and curriculums are reworked, but at a fundamental level, not much has changed. In fact, many experts agree that our education system is based on ideas that were born out of the Industrial Revolution. That was 200 years ago. So what problems does this create?
I would say that there are a number of problems. The first is that the typical classroom, just starting off with the design of it, is very arcane. You have kids sitting in desks in rows, and then you have a teacher, usually at the head of a classroom, telling you what to do. So the design, I think, is absolutely flawed. Nobody in the real world ever works like that. It just doesn't work.
Nikhil Goyal is 17 years old, has written a book, and travels the world sharing new ideas on education. But education not only needs new ideas, it needs wisdom. So I spoke to somebody that was older than 17.
My name is Ted Clapp, like clapping your hands, and some old friends sometimes call me Applause, but we let that one go. And I am 93 years old. I was a chaplain in World War II and went from France to Tokyo and on the oceans, and I have been a guidance counselor in the public schools, and I read to very small children, aged 2.5 to 4.
93 years of age. He attended Harvard about 75 years ago. This begs the question, what changes has he seen in education?
Through the years, I have seen nothing changing for a long time, but right now it's a hot time for change because our world has changed, and your world as a high school student is a very different world. And so if you're going to proceed in it and succeed in it, you're going to have a different education. So what I have seen is a little bubble, but we need a large explosion in a change in understanding how anybody learns anything. The old model is, here's the teacher who has the information, and here's the student sits rigidly, usually in the past. I did as I was growing up. And so the teacher says something, you try to take it in as best you can, but that's your education. And if you're not already designed to be a learning person, it's not going to make any difference.
Second, I think, is the way we're teaching. It's a very top-down approach where we have teachers telling kids what to do all day. I think it should be bottom-up, where it's student-centered. I think we should switch and shift from something called pedagogy to andragogy. So pedagogy really means literally the art and science of teaching, more or less a teacher-focused curriculum. Andragogy is adult leading, and it's very child-centered. So that means you're motivated intrinsically, you're learning through problems rather than content-oriented curriculum, and you're really enjoying the process rather than hating the whole kind of learning situation.
So what does the classroom of the future look like?
It's so interesting it sounds to me as though you're seeing in your mind a classroom. I'm hoping that, and is often the case, teachers from now on are going to have to take you out of the classroom in some fashion. Of course, some will be video or anything else, or actually participating. You can go up into the airplane or the helicopter or what other space vehicle, and that's your classroom. So that's what's going to happen for the lucky ones, the ones who are still sitting in a room and not caring. It's going to be the unhappy ones.
One of the things I advocate for is a city as a school model, where we're turning schools into public spaces, auditoriums, gymnasiums, libraries, athletic facilities. We have all these great resources at our fingertips that we're just not taking advantage of. So I think we have to truly understand that this is a tipping point in our society, not just technologically, but in all different aspects. And education must be part of this. Must be part of this change.
Keeping this in mind, how can we redesign education in a way that would benefit every learner? We need to center education around the student. Let them find their passions. Let their passion be the force that drives their learning, and let everything else fall into place.
I absolutely support passion-based learning. What I think of it as a child or anybody really learning by what they love to do. So if you're interested in chemistry, you're going to seek out books. You're going to seek out experts. Go on field trips. Go to museums. Go take a cooking class, because that applies your skills in chemistry to other fields.
The person who has a passion for what he's studying is a very fortunate human being. So your approach, as you have stated it, is exactly right. Experience it, whatever it is.
I think passion-driven learning truly makes somebody an autodidact. Somebody who can learn on their own, who not necessarily needs somebody to be there, but can take assistance from mentors and teachers and experts. So it's a very holistic process, and I think that's how education should be driven: passion-based learning, student-centered learning, and giving them as much autonomy as possible.
As the teacher listens, you are finding out what is going on in the process or what needs to go on. Be a listener instead of just a declarer.
All children, when they're born, are naturally curious. They love to learn. They have all this passion within them. They're bubbling with knowledge, what you could say, and just don't kill it.